Everyone, this is the OnePlus 11. I've had it for almost 2 weeks now, and I can now share with you that OnePlus is back.
Engineer reacts.
Alright, let's just jump right into the photos. This first shot is incredible. Obviously, these are ideal conditions, but it shows off auto mode capability, color, shadow detailed are rendered nicely, and HDR simply works. Switching over to this shot, and we're treated to OnePlus' ability to capture without lag. I was literally hanging out of a tour bus. The colors rendered extremely well. They weren't oversaturated, but they had enough pop. And finally, the game changer 4K 120. Sorry about that. I was actually talking about the 10 Pro. Now, what I can say about the OnePlus 11 is what I said about the 10 Pro. Don't call it a comeback. OnePlus has been here for years. Now, let's get into the OnePlus 11. Looks like it's definitely an iteration of the 10 Pro. The main sensor is the Sony IMX890. Sony has basically revamped the Sony IMX766. They plan on using the 890 for the main sensor for the next 2 years. And what they did, they allowed full resolution output up to 30 frames per second. So video will actually be sharper if you're recording at 30 frames per second and lower on the OnePlus 11. They've also changed out the telephoto. They've actually dropped it down to 2 times, but they raised the megapixels from 8 megapixels to 32 megapixels. And the other differences are this. On the 10 Pro, you have wireless charging and video out. And on the 11, you don't have wireless charging, you don't have video out. And also this is, if you bought it from T-Mobile, it had an IP68 certification, and this just has an IP64 out of the box. They're very similar, but they're different, right? So you should have a little bit better video here. And in my testing, I've enjoyed the telephoto better than what I liked on here. But extremely similar. Great job by OnePlus dropping that price point. The one thing that I will say about the OnePlus 11 that caught me completely surprised is this has dual SIM and eSIM support. So most phones in the US are single SIM. You have the Google Pixel that has one eSIM but one physical SIM slot. You have Apple that actually took away the SIM slot, and you have Samsung that has been allowed finally to get eSIM going, and they also have one physical slot. So this is simply game changing to have 2 signal strength bars here. So I have 2 physical slots. I have my personal SIM and my work SIM in this. OnePlus has changed their design quite a bit over the years, but I do really like this design. I know this design is not for everyone, and I'll just grab the case right now. I think the case looks really good. So this is the Aramid fiber case, but let's get back into the photos. The one thing that I can say that everything that you're going to get out of a OnePlus is extremely punchy. OnePlus doesn't really market this, but it has a really robust Pro mode. They do have RAW and RAW Plus. They're not up to what you would get in a Vivo. But speaking of Vivo, I took another one in sensor out. I took the Xiaomi 12S Ultra out. I just took a couple of photos, and we'll just show those real quick. I always use auto mode because I think in Leica Authentic, a lot of people can just pick this up and use it. I tend to use the Vivo in Pro mode, and I also think you can use this in auto mode, but I usually use the OnePlus in Pro mode as well. If we look at these first photos, excellent capture by both. You'll see that on this first side of the building, the Xiaomi, even though I thought it was a great shot, it starts to kind of crust the shadows, which I tend to like. But if you look at this is probably more accurate as far as the shadow detail goes. But one of the things I have to point out that around the window where the sun is, I thought the Xiaomi did a really good job. Now going to the front of the building, I thought they were very similar, and I probably need to do a little bit more testing because it could have just been the auto where the shutter was on this one, but I thought I adjusted this shutter on the OnePlus to where it should have been, and I noticed that there's a separate cloud peeking through on the. So this is some video that I took that was in movie mode, so you can shoot in log, and I actually kind of prefer, if I'm shooting with the OnePlus, like I'm on vacation or whatever, I have no problem doing auto mode. But if I do shoot, just because of the sensor size, what I normally do is I go into movie mode and I shoot in log, and it's just my preference. I find that log gives me a little bit more control of the ISO, and I think its base ISO is actually less grainy. So in sunlight, you're not going to worry about it. In conditions where it might be overcast or you're inside or something like that, that's ISO is going to play a part. And like I said, some people care about it and some don't. So I thought all this footage was really good. Now, if we go to one of the things I noted on this, it almost looked like a postcard. I thought it was great. I think part of the reason is because even though I'm kind of far away, you get a little more depth when you use the 1-inch sensor, but I thought this was phenomenal. I thought the sky was rendered correctly. I thought the color was very accurate for what I was seeing, even though, like I said, it looks like a postcard. This building here that I'm showing is literally one that was started before the economy crashed about 10 years ago. So it's literally just abandoned. You can barely get to it, but it's kind of interesting. And if the one thing that's cool about this one, and it kind of shows the quality of HDR, it's full of glass, and what happens is whatever is in the sky gets reflected. So it looks like it's almost part of the sky, right? So you have glass that's got little delineations of where the glass pieces join, but you can see that the sky is being reflected, so you can see clouds, and that's one thing I always kind of like to test with that. So I'm going to show some other photographs and videos. I still carry 2 phones from time to time, but now that I have dual SIM exactly the way I want it, I'll probably leave my Pixel behind for now and just go rock with the OnePlus. So I have other videos on my channel on OnePlus, and if you're interested in those videos, click here. And as I said before, don't call it a comeback. They have been here for years. And with that, we're out.